Hey everyone, so as you may already know, the new special research will help you unlock Jirachi if you haven't gotten one from GoFest this year. I think the big question is it worth it to invest in Jirachi, especially because it's a mythical and it'll cost 100 candies and 100,000 Stardust to unlock its second move. With Jirachi's typing of Steel and Psychic, it actually is pretty good for PvP in terms of what it can resist, and with Doom Desire, Dazzling Gleam, and Psychic as charge move options, it provides pretty good coverage as well. Prior to Jirachi's release, Doom Desire was supposed to be the best PvP charge move available in the game, costing 35 energy and dealing 80 damage. However, Niantic decided to balance Doom Desire to make it a little bit more fair, so now it costs 40 energy and deals 75 damage. It's still easily one of the best charge moves available, but this balance definitely made sure that Jirachi wasn't completely overpowered. I'm going to show you matches from a remote freestyle tournament I did, and from there you can decide if Jirachi is worth investing or not. So the team I decided to run had Jirachi, Deoxys Defense, Umbreon, Skarmory, Meganium, and Wigglytuff. And for the most part, all of these movesets are pretty standard. Deoxys Defense, I had Thunderbolt and Psycho Boost, and for Meganium, I decided to run Razor Leaf over Vine Whip. For Jirachi, I had Confusion, Doom Desire, and Dazzling Gleam. You don't usually need Psychic on Jirachi just because it's a little bit overkill with Confusion already doing so much damage. Having Dazzling Gleam gives you additional coverage against Dragons, Darks, and some other types as well. One important thing to note is that when I started this freestyle remote tournament, the traditional piggybacking method was still around. So that means that you could piggyback off your opponent's charge moves and then be up ahead on energy. However, after the first two rounds of this tournament, the mechanics switched and you could pretty much only self-piggyback, but you can't do the traditional piggyback method. If you have any questions about what piggybacking may be, I'm going to link King's videos down below that fully explains what piggyback does, just so you kind of understand the concept. In round 1, I'm going against Zaire, and I'm leading with Meganium, and I have Umbreon and Skarmory in the back. And so right here, it's a pretty favorable matchup. He switches straight to Deoxys Defense, and I'm going to switch straight to Umbreon. The main reason why I brought Umbreon was particularly to counter Deoxys Defense. Deoxys is a very strong Pokemon in Freestyle, and so I figured most teams would have one, and so that's why I decided to go with Umbreon ultimately over Bastion or Probopass on my team. And so that's a good decision by Zaire to try to bait out Shield with Rock Slide just because it's easier to charge than Thunderbolt. And from here, I know that pretty much no matter what comes out next, I should be able to get off at least one more foul play. And having switch advantage is definitely huge in this respect. So it's a Venusaur. I feel pretty good about this, like I said, because I have a Skarmory as well. And I'm just going to let him feint out this Umbreon. And wasn't able to get to that foul play. I probably over-tapped it a little bit there. But it doesn't matter just because I have Skarmory. And right here, I know that he's going to switch to Azumarill. And Meganium right here is just going to raise the leaf down this Azumarill. And I know that Meganium can survive an Ice Beam pretty comfortably. So I chose not to shield. And from here, I'm able to hit his Venusaur right away with an Earthquake. Of course, he has a shield in that situation. But at this point, I'm just going to let my Meganium feint. And I'm going to go straight with the Skarmory. A very hard counter to Venusaur Force. And so that is match number 1. And in the second match, I decided to go in with Deoxys, Skarmory, and Umbreon. So in this round, I chose not to use Jirachi just because against his team, I just didn't really see a lot of good openings, especially with Whiscash on his team as well. So right here, I didn't have the best lead. So I'm going against... now in a not so favorable matchup right here. And so I'm going to just let this, well, I thought he was going to hit me with a Thunderbolt, so I was going to just let the Skarmory feint out just because I figured that I was going to lose the match anyway. But because he decided to go Rock Slide and I didn't shield, I now have switch advantage, although he does have 2 shields to 1 against mine. And so right here, he brings in Alolan Marowak, and good news is I have Umbreon to counter this, and it's going to be able to tank any moves that Alolan Marowak dishes out. So he switches straight to Azumarill, and Deoxys Defense isn't the best counter to Azumarill, but it could do quite a bit, especially with Thunderbolt. And because of its just tanky nature, it's able to just handle any of Azumarill's attacks without needing to really shield. And so at this point, he correctly chose to shield that Thunderbolt, and I'm just going to shield right here just because I pretty much want this switch advantage. I want to take out this Azumarill because Azumarill is going to cause quite a bit of damage against my Umbreon. And so I'm just going to try to feint it out. And he's going to be able to take out my Deoxys right here. But I had enough energy on my Umbreon to hit it with a Last Resort. And pretty much at this point, I have the match just because Alolan Marowak doesn't really have any moves that can really put a big dent into Umbreon. And so again, Umbreon come in pretty handy in this matchup. And so that was round 1 against Zaire. And back then there was still traditional piggybacking. So you can tell just from the way that I'm charging the charge moves. And so right here, I'm going against XT Min, and I'm going in with Skarmory, Jirachi, and Deoxys. And so Skarmory Mirror, I was going for the piggyback right here, so that's why I held on to the Sky Attack for a while. And obviously, we're just going to kind of trade Sky Attacks right here. And I had enough energy to do 2 back-to-back. And I decided to let this Sky Attack go through. And I believe... I guess I don't decide to switch. I just want to see how he was going to play it out. And so I'm going to go straight for Sky Attack right here. And he chooses Shield. And I decided not to shield at this point just because I don't know if I would have gotten to the next Sky Attack before he would or not. And right here, I'm just going to use Jirachi and just fan it down with Confusion. And so because of Jirachi's Steel typing, it's going to resist Flying attacks, which is really good against Skarmory. Skarmory also kind of resists most of Jirachi's attacks too, so it's kind of more of an even matchup here. And so right here, I'm going to just throw out Doom Desire, and luckily he brings in Clefable actually, so that was actually pretty good on my end just because Doom Desire is going to do super effective damage with that Steel typing. I think afterward he told me that it was a misclick. But yeah, so he decided to switch into Altaria right here. Deoxys defense without Rock Slide isn't the best Altaria counter, but because of just the tanky nature of Deoxys defense, it's able to just do enough neutral damage with Psycho Boost. And I was able to take it out right there. And here comes Clefable, already kind of low on health, and I'm able to just finish it off with Deoxys defense. And so, as you can see there, a little demonstration of Jirachi's power. Obviously, you didn't really get to see it at full extent. But here we're going into match number 2. I go in with the same exact lineup. So Skarmory, Jirachi, and Deoxys, just because I figured it was probably the best against his line. Jirachi, obviously with Confusion, is going to do quite a bit of damage against his Victory Bell as well. So that's why I brought it in this one. And with Skarmory too, that gives me an additional Victory Bell counter. And right here, I'm just going for a double Sky Attack, and I decided to quickly switch to Jirachi. Of course, the Steel typing resisting the Ice Beam damage, and I think for a lot of people early on too, they might have not been fully aware of Jirachi's movesets. So I don't know if X-Men knew that Jirachi could have Dazzling Gleam or not, or just didn't think I could charge to it, or was just bluffing. But that Dazzling Gleam came in really handy, was able to one-shot the Altaria. And right here, like I said, Doom Desire just doing a lot of neutral damage, and he, of course, decides to shield it. And I'm just going to let that Ice Beam go through just because I still have Deoxys defense in the back, as well as Skarmory and additional shield. So I feel pretty good about this at this point. So I'll be able to farm up quite a bit of energy. And then Thunderbolt against Skarmory is going to be bad news for Skarmory, of course. And right here, I pretty much know that I could seal it up, especially with the shield as well, too. And I'm just going to go straight for Thunderbolt. Psycho Boost probably would have been enough, too, but I just wanted to play it safe at that point. So that was the first 2 rounds, and now I'm going against Alpha Phoebe. So at this point in time, this is when traditional piggybacking is no longer around. So I'm not able to piggyback off of my opponent's charge moves. So you'll see that the playstyle might be a little bit different. I might be using charge moves sooner than I used to. And right away, I knew that my team was going to struggle a little bit against Alpha Phoebe because he has Fortress. And I don't really have a good answer to Fortress except for Skarmory. And so that was kind of one of my mistakes I made, because having Jirachi and Deoxys and Wigglytuff is just not good against a Fortress. And on top of that, I also have Meganium, and gets farmed hard by Fortress as well. The big thing is actually Fortress can beat Umbreon in 2 shields, but he chose not to shield one of my charge moves right here. And so although I'm down a shield, I do have switch advantage. And so I feel pretty good about that, just because from there, I'm able to maneuver a little bit better. And so I'm going into this line with Skarmory, Umbreon, and Meganium. You'll see a little bit later as well. Looking back on it, I probably would have gone with Vine Whip Meganium instead. But, you know, Razor Leaf does quite a bit of damage too, but I think a lot of situations Vine Whip would have been a little bit better. In this specific situation, it doesn't really, Razor Leaf does quite a bit already against Lantern, so that might have been better. But you'll see later, some situations Vine Whip is probably preferable. So right here, I know I feel pretty good about this because I'm going to be able to dent this Umbreon pretty well, and he's probably going to have to spend a charge move to take me out. Or actually, no, he doesn't. So he decides to farm that. And that's fine too, because I have a full health Skarmory here. And so I can feint it down and get it with just a Sky Attack too. And so as you see from the charge move animation, it's when the charge moves were changed, how you charge them changed, and that also coincided with when piggybacking, traditional piggybacking was reverted, or was patched essentially. So in the second match, I decided to go in with the same lineup and again go into bad lead with the Charge Beam Lantern. So I decided to play out kind of the same switch. So I'm going with Skarmory, Umbreon, and Meganium. And so right here, it's going to be close for sure because I know I have like maybe 1 or 2 extra fast moves on Alpha Phoebe's Umbreon. But so at this point, it just depends on if anyone's baiting each other out with foul plays or if they aren't, and shield usage and who's deciding to shield more or less. And so I decided to let this one go. And he's going to hit me with Last Resort, and I'm going to go again with Last Resort. And like I said, without traditional piggybacking, we're just pretty much just firing off our charge moves whenever they're mostly ready. And so he goes in here, and I believe he goes in Last Resort. I don't know why I thought that one of them were going to be a foul play, but I think I might be just remembering that wrong. So I go in with Last Resort, and he decides to save his second shield and not and give a switch priority. And so I think that worked out pretty well for me just because I need to take out this Lantern with my Meganium in the back end. So having that switch priority would be pretty crucial here. And so he decides to block that foul play with his Lantern, and I decide not to shield right here, no matter what it is, even if it's Hydro Pump. I'm going to be able to do quite a bit. And of course, he has Fortress right here, and this is the matchup I was looking for. Skarmory against Fortress is going to be able to do quite a bit, and I'm just going to farm this a little bit. One reason is because I guess I don't farm it that much. I mean I could still farm it quite a bit, and so the main reason why I don't want to take this out right away is because if I have less life on my Skarmory, that means that he's not able to farm my Skarmory as much with his Lantern, and in addition to that, I'll have some energy going into it. It's not going to do a ton of damage against his Lantern, but it's better than nothing. And I was able to get off at least a second Sky Attack. And from here, I feel pretty good just because I know just a few Razor Leafs will be able to take this out, this Lantern out, and I still have a shield too, so I'm able to shield it. Even if it's a Hydro Pump, I should be able to be fine with the shield, obviously. So I was able to take out Alpha B right there, and so that was round number 3. And so round number 4, I'm going against Necro, and right here, I decided to go in with Deoxys, I believe Jirachi, and Meganium in this matchup. And so pretty favorable lead for the most part. Like I said before, Deoxys defense with Thunderbolt can go kind of toe-to-toe with Azumarill. And because because he was already kind of low on health, I decided to go in with Psycho Boost. I think I missed a few circles there, unfortunately. And I decided to shield too. That way I'm able to kind of build up even more energy with Deoxys defense. In Deoxys defense, because of its unique move pool, it can do quite a bit of damage to almost anything that he brings in next. And so I decided to go straight for the Psycho Boost against his Meganium. I believe his Meganium has Vine Whip. I was able to get another Psycho Boost. Unfortunately, I almost missed all those charge moves too, actually. But right here, it's not great because he's able to farm up my, my Deoxys with a lot of Vine Whips too. So I knew he has quite a bit of energy stored up. And right here, not great too, just because I've got the Razor Leaf going. And another reason why Vine Whip would have been better in this situation is because I would be able to get to Frenzy Plains faster, or even get to Earthquake. So I might have been able to get to Earthquake had I had Vine Whip over Razor Leaf. But I decided to shield that anyway, and at this point I know that I can't get to the Earthquake in time, so I just go for a Frenzy Plant, and he has a sliver of health left. He wasn't able to get off a charge move against my Jirachi though, and at this point, like I said before, he built up so much energy on that Meganium, he has an Earthquake ready, and so pretty much one-shots a full health Jirachi. And, that steel typing is definitely what hurt it in that specific scenario. So in the second matchup, I'm going in with Skarmory, Deoxys, and Meganium. And so I chose to take out Jirachi just because it's not really a strong counter to anything on his team for the most part. He doesn't have any poison types. it does okay against Azumarill, and even against Medicham, if Medicham has a lot of power punches going, it can still beat Jirachi. And obviously Bastiodon will wall it off, so I chose not to just bring Jirachi at all. Plus, without the traditional piggybacking, it's just not going to be as effective. So I'm going for a double Sky Attack right here against his Altaria, and I decided to shield it just because I want switch priority at this point. But I decided to actually switch into Deoxys defense. Sorry, I forgot about that part. So right here, I have quite a bit of Psycho Boost energy stored up, so I can spam off 2 of them, almost back to back, not quite. Meganium obviously in some ways is better for freestyle because it doesn't have a weakness to Psychic, and it's able to tank a lot more than a Venusaur could. So at this point, I decided to shield, and I figured he probably has enough for 2 Frenzy Plants, so maybe it wasn't the best idea to shield at that specific scenario, because as you can see, he's able to pretty much take out my Deoxys defense. And right here, I'm just going to go straight for the Razor Leaves. Again, if I had Vine Whip, I'll probably be able to get to that Earthquake faster. But because Meganium's tanking this, I was able to kind of get away with that and go right here for the Frenzy Plants. And that's pretty much going to feign out the Bastiodon, and which worked out perfectly just because I still had Skarmory left, and that would not have been able to handle the Bastiodon very well. And then, it was able to take out his Meganium. So we are going into match number 3, and I'm going to lead Skarmory again against the Altaria. Again, one of those matchups where Skarmory is going to pretty much win in most situations. It's going to be close regardless, but I'm going to be able to pretty much go toe-to-toe with this Altaria and probably win switch priority here. And so here I'm going to go straight for the Sky Attack, and I believe I go for the second one back-to-back as well, so I could potentially self-piggyback. I think I messed it up there, though, as you can see the Dragon Breath hitting my Skarmory, and I also messed up one of those circles, too. So right here, I'm going to shield, and I decided to go in with the same exact strategy, and he decides to switch as well, so he kind of anticipated my Deoxys defense right here. And the good news right here is that last time around, he was able to do quite a bit of damage with his Altaria against my Deoxys defense. This time around, my Deoxys has a little bit more health here, and so I decided to actually burn my last shield to keep it alive, knowing that he probably has another Frenzy Plant coming in soon. And of course, that's exactly what happens. And so he goes in with a Frenzy Plant, and as you can see, my switch clock is almost up, so I was waiting for that, and that way I was able to switch straight away to Skarmory, absorb this Frenzy Plant, knowing that I could survive it and still take it out. And right here, I'm just kind of clicking away at that Sky Attack trying to get to it. Wasn't able to get to it in time, but that pretty much wouldn't have done anything against the Bastiodon. Luckily, his Altaria was really low on health, because that was probably a bad matchup for an Meganium versus Altaria. And so right here, I have a Frenzy Plant ready, and I was able to hit it right here. And then at this point, I know that I pretty much want to get I switched straight to Deoxys defense. Here I kind of make a mistake. I decided to go with Psycho Boost, but I was kind of nervous on like how much health I have left. And so luckily, I was actually able to fast move it down with just counters to take out the Bastiodon. I probably could have gone away with trying to get to Thunderbolt instead, and that would have been guaranteed charge move KO. But either way, able to win round number 4, and now I'm going into the finals against Craig James, and I decided to go in with Jirachi, Deoxys, and Meganium. And so leading with Jirachi against Lantern, I know it's probably not the best move, so I decided to go in with Deoxys defense, and he goes in for a switch, which isn't too bad, to be honest, just because, like I said, Thunderbolt Deoxys against Skarmory can do quite a bit of damage, and I don't know if he thought I was bluffing, or maybe he thought I would have had Rock Slide right there. But either way, I was able to get that Thunderbolt off, which will definitely help me win this switch priority. Obviously, he's up 1 shield, though. I'm just going to go straight for the Psycho Boost. And he does decide to shield it, but with counter, Deoxys defense could just charge much faster and have another Psycho Boost ready. And so right here, he is going to go in with a Thunderbolt and take out my Deoxys defense. I still have Meganium left right here, and I feel pretty comfortable about it for the most part, just because I know his Skarmory is taken out. I'm just going with Doom Desire right here, just doing mostly neutral damage, and I know the Confusion is going to be able to hit this Venusaur pretty hard. And is able to even survive that Frenzy Plant in the end there too. So it just kind of goes to show how tanky Jirachi can be with its typing, and its stats are pretty much balanced across the board, just like Mew and Celebi is. And so right here, we're going into the second match, and I'm leading Meganium against this Clefable. So kind of decent matchup for me for the most part. I mean, it's actually pretty even, but I was able to get the charge move faster. He does a quick switch into Skarmory, really good call by him, and pretty much wasting all the energy I built up there. And so I have Deoxys and Jirachi in the back with the Meganium. So I decided to shield the Sky Attack. And this time around, I'm going to go in with Psycho Boost and try to bait out a shield, hoping that he'll shield it, because last time he didn't, and it was able to take him out. So I figured that he might think that I was going for that again. So now this time around, I am going to go with a Thunderbolt to go for the KO against the Skarmory, and he chooses not to burn the second shield. And Clefable just doing quite a bit of damage, just with the Charm, of course. And so Meteor Mash going to take out my Deoxys. And here I'm able to build up some additional energy. And I know my Meganium is a little bit low as well, too, so I don't want to switch right into this Lantern. So I'm going to try to soften it up as much as I can. I go for the Dazzling Gleam because Doom Desire is just going to be resisted pretty hard. And just with Confusions alone, I'm able to pretty much whittle down this Lantern pretty well. And going to shield the Thunderbolt, of course, and then able to take out his Lantern. So that was my freestyle tournament using Jirachi in my line. Although it may be hard to tell how much weaker Jirachi was without traditional piggybacking, I definitely felt quite a bit of difference in my matches from rounds 3 through 5 versus the first 2 rounds. Even though I did win this freestyle tournament with Jirachi on my team, looking back on it, I probably would sub out Jirachi for something else just because it didn't provide me with as much coverage as I thought it would. At the moment, I think that Bronzong, which has the same exact typing as Jirachi, has better coverage and more utility in freestyle and a bunch of different metas as well. However, Jirachi may definitely become more useful in future cups, and I think it's still a very great pick in draft leagues and other custom formats that people may decide to play in. Hopefully this video is helpful in helping you decide if you should invest in Jirachi or not. Feel free to subscribe for more content, and I'll see you all next time.